So Robert is a good friend of mine. I've known him for the better part of 5 years almost now. When I took the job at B2R Finance, I called the guy that ran all the home investors marketing. I said, I need a marketing badass. And he said, I've got just the guy for you. And quickly, because I was in charge of all marketing at B2R Finance, quickly I'd hired someone that I knew could replace me very simply, which made me happy because that's just what he did whenever I finally resigned from having a W-2 job. But now he's been fortunate enough to become the chief marketing officer for Patch of Land, and he does a lot of things. And the interesting thing is, okay, why is there a marketing guy up here? There's two types of marketers, right? There's marketers that just want to, sell their product, and then there's these marketers that really want to understand the customer and understand the challenges of the customer and make sure they're always solving for problems. And Robert, through my involvement with him, has always been the guy that wants to talk to a customer and find out what their problems are and try to understand, what the company can do better and what their challenges are. And through that, what it does is it gives him a lot of unique market insights and market intelligence because he's talking to tens of thousands of investors a year. So please welcome my friend, Robert Greenberg, to talk.
Thank you, So, again, as Tim mentioned, I'm the chief marketing officer. I also run our sales group with about 17 loan officers. We do loans all across the country. And the only reason this is on a Patch of Land PowerPoint template is like that. I'm not going to talk about Patch of Land. I'm going to share. We're going to take a giant step backwards and just kind of look at the overall total U.S. landscape and the real estate, particularly real estate investment market, single family. Hopefully this will be interesting to you. I'm not going to present any specific information on North Texas. As you mentioned in the earlier thing, I've lived here a long time and I know the market. I'm now the company I work with out in LA, but we landed in 44 states. And so the macro market is of particular interest to me. None of the data I'm going to show you is my data. We're not a data company. I'm a little bit of a data geek. I love digging into it. As Tim kind of alluded to, I really love digging into the data and trying to figure out what the trends are. One of the things that Tim asked me to invest in this data is, it feels like things are starting to change, and we will see in some of the trend information, things change, right? And we're naturally going to experience some change. And so hopefully just taking a giant step back and looking at the macro environment will help you, and if nothing else, hopefully you'll find it somewhat interesting. Really simple. We're not going to spend a ton of time. I'll probably talk for 15, 20 minutes, but I can do it's about 20 slides. And if you've got questions or if there's things we want to talk about together before I pass it to the next guy, I'd be happy to do that. But we're going to talk about the market as a whole and specifically the fixed and flip market and a little bit on the rental market. What I find so fascinating about this business is it's just huge. There's basically the way I kind of look at the market that we operate in, and I think there's the exception of what would be large commercial real estate, which is another huge industry in and of itself. But small balance commercial is where a lot of it is. Multifamily, small apartment buildings, that sort of stuff, even some retail strip centers. It's stuff that's typically under $5 million per transaction. That's a $10 trillion industry nationally. $6 trillion in single family rental alone is another huge business. It's really interesting. As Tim mentioned, we had the opportunity to work together back in 2013 when B2R Finance was just getting started. It was a company being backed by some pretty good loans of Blackstone, entered a market that did not exist, and in 14 months we had done over $1 billion. So it was just, really eye-opening for me too. We had the saying that, how do we know if this is the right thing to do? Clearly, we didn't have a set of loan documents when we first started. Nobody had ever done what we were doing before. This is 2014. This is 5 years ago. And we created a business and it just blew up. And primarily what we were doing is lending on portfolios of rental homes. So lots of investors. We'll talk about that market towards the end of the presentation. But we were doing really relatively large loans to a relatively small universe of investors. but super interesting. And then again, the buy the foot market, buy and sell, renovate, resell, whatever term you like to use. That's the market I'm spending the majority of my time in these days. And it's a $70 billion market. The number of dollars units is just so it's pretty interesting. I'm going to start overall with the total housing stock in America, and I love those people that are. So there's probably somewhere south of 150 million homes, or maybe 135, 150, somewhere in that number. This is in our data. I don't update the data every quarter or every year. So actually, it's trying to do it every year because this presentation kind of comes back for various reasons. But so it's not all perfectly. In the 2018 year, I can't show you things that go all the way through December of 18. But I hope you will get a general sense of the trends. The point of what I'm trying to help you see today. The renter-occupied business, which for a lot of investors markets that are interested in, it's really about 40% of all the housing stock in America is renting rental homes of some kind. This includes things like manufactured homes, which is a relatively small group, but the 2 to 4 unit. And multifamily apartments is another 18, and that means somewhere close to that. Again, the 25 million homes that are owner-occupied, a large share of the housing stock, and then this new, relatively new industry, all that data, the Airbnb and the VRBO. That's probably the fastest growing seasonal vacant market. It's an entirely its own animal. It's such an interesting another avenue. The number of ways to make money in real estate, I think it's just mind-boggling. So, looking at the single-family universe of homes by sale price, and what I find interesting about this is, we just had a lunchtime conversation, or no, before lunch, with somebody doing deals in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Those are definitely sub $75,000 deals. That's her deal. That's how she makes money. There is some people, like the LA market, I know folks out there, that you can't be in the flip business in LA without being on the other side of 500,000 or really typically $1 million. And it's not unusual to make 500,000 on a flip out there. It's just crazy. So the numbers are just staggering. Right? But if you look at the U.S. on average, the 2/3 of all the homes in America sell for under $250. That's about the median price of the paper plot on that. And if you look at this Q3, this is the most recent data ever available. You can get off on this side. This is fairly new. But if you look at this Q3 data, and this little bitty segment right here, $100,000 to $200,000 homes, represent nearly a third of all the transactions going down in Q3. So
I've known you for 5 years. I've never had to ask you to speak up.
Oh my God!
No, I just
that is speaking up. Has never ever come up.
I know, right?
So so this is, and again, this is probably more typical of the North Texas market. When you look at the averages, you've got the East Coast, West Coast property prices that really inflate the averages nationally. But this is a business that's primarily in the under $300,000. That's the housing stock that most investors are dealing with. Looking at home price appreciation over time, and this is going back to 2000. And again, this is what I find so interesting about this is, this is about the time I got really involved in the business. So I've only seen that type of number. And right now, that represents that's the median sales price, $250, which is what we were looking at on the previous slide. So we're just now kind of hitting that number. And if you look at the annual price appreciation, it's a cyclical business. You see nice up numbers, some down numbers, some up numbers. These are the trends you see. It's going to be foolish to expect that this number is just going to continue stay like that for however long, right? It doesn't happen. When you look at who's involved in the fix and flip business, this I think is really interesting stuff too. You've got on the left side, this is inverted pyramid, shows you how many transactions are involved and who's doing it. So you can see that the vast majority of properties flipped, and, this kind of number here, is done by almost 2 people to do one flip, one and done, right? There's a ton of that. And it probably hasn't gotten worse. Well, I'm maybe not saying it right. But the popularity of television shows like the HGTV network, the idea that anybody can do this, there's only 3 numbers to worry about: the price you buy it for, what you put in rehab, and what you sell it for, and you do little subtractions. That's how much money you take in profit. That kind of creates this frenzy of a lot of people getting in. The real business is probably done in this kind of group here, people that do between, say, 3 and 50. And it's 50 for a small operator, or even if you've got a construction group, and that sort of thing. That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff. I mean, Tim mentioned back in just before the crash, he was doing 143 in this 1 year. I mean, I find that's mind-boggling to be doing that many projects in a year. But certainly there are people. There's 50 to 150, relatively small group of people. Between 150 and 500, and then, almost nobody's doing 500 work with. These are giant companies, that are doing really institutionalized the process. Just looking at the trends over time, this is kind of an interesting chart too. This, you see what happened. This is kind of just in the run-up to the big crash. You had tons of people buying properties. This is the feeding frenzy. No matter what you pay for it, it's going to be worth more when you go to sell it. There's absolutely no risk. Anybody, cash is available, financing is available to everybody. There's all sorts of lending going on. We'll go to reality. The number of flips in this country, and this is kind of amazing too. Like these numbers, I should probably tell you. I'm going to go all the way to 2017. 2018 was just a little bit over this from what I understand the data is really look like. But that says 207,000. So that's single family and condos. It doesn't include duplexes, triplexes, and quads. So there's typically what we talk about in the single family in the fix and flip market is under 5 units, under 5 doors in a single unit. But this is probably representative of 80% of the market. So the other units probably are another 20%. So I feel relatively comfortable, I would say, that these trends are what's important, right? If there is another 20% or so, maybe a little bit higher, that's missing, it's probably not enough to skew these trends. This is what you're seeing that like. What's interesting about this though is even if it's going to off is maybe 240,000 flips a year, well, that's it. It doesn't seem like, in my mind, it doesn't seem like that many deals, right? And that's what this market, the single family fix and flip market, is really working in the U.S. Okay, one more. Again, talking about trends, I just want to know this is the blue numbers are the year-over-year change, right? So quarter to quarter, going back to Q1 2000, even all the way to Q3 2018. So again, the ups and some downs, right? I mean, I think that's the most important thing to take away from this. And if you look at this is kind of an interesting number. This is where basically the bottom crash started to come back. Things, lots of kind of a feeding frenzy here. Things started, and then you just see this nice steady slope with a little bit of a correction there. But in general, we're seeing the number of flips just nice to say. This is a really good. This is a really great trend line from a national basis. Feeling really good. There's not any of this crazy stuff going on. It's just steady growth, really nice. I think these 2 quarters, and that went down thing, that's where all the, I'm not going to call it pessimism, but the concern, the moderated optimism is coming from. So I think if you look at these one of the numbers, and you really look at Texas, there's tons to be bullish about. But as we mentioned in the earlier panel, there's definitely some changes in the wind. So you definitely want to be aware and thoughtful about what's going on in the numbers. Another kind of look at the same thing. What's accepted. This is now finance stuff. So this is another interesting trend of what's happening below the numbers. What is finance? The percent purchased with financing, right? So you're seeing things that were back here in the early 2000s. 60% of people who were flipping properties were doing it with other people's money, right? 60%. After the crash, other people's money didn't exist. Couldn't get a business loan. You could hardly get a car loan. The credit markets were completely closed. It was hard to get money at all from anybody. And if you mentioned you wanted to get money for a house, it was 10 people. The lenders were running. Nobody wanted to spend money on real estate, certainly on single-family house. And then it just started to kind of, this is recovery. You could buy houses at 30, 40 cents on the dollar. Some places like Florida and Arizona, it's probably even cheaper. A lot of foreclosures. It's a whole other story. But you've seen the steady recovery, which is probably with either those people in the room or those people on the Facebook thing have been participating in this nice upward trend that's been going on for which generally would be considered a cycle. It's been a really nice. Today, that's about 35%. When this whole started, less than 20%. And that 20% was largely your classic traditional hard money lending. Didn't have anything to do with banks. Great private money, local guys, willing to lend on real estate, their own market, property that they knew and understood. Moving forward, so taking a deeper look at what's going on with the financing piece. Really, particularly this is a much shorter period of time. You see that it's now at almost 35%, and less than 20% at the beginning of the crash. What's happening? Why is that happening? This is really kind of a good thing if you're in the lending business like I am. It's really interesting to notice. And by the way, the difference between 31 and 34 is enormous money. Each point is huge money. What's happening though is rates, as Scott alluded to when he was talking earlier, is not unusual for rates to be, what he said, 2%, could be 4, 12, and 12, 18, what is it? I mean, I wasn't in the business back when you had to put up 18% to do a hard money loan on a property. I understand that is very common. What happened is companies like ours, we've been in business since 2013. There are a couple competitors of ours that have been in maybe a year or two longer. But really, everybody on the private money business in this country is doing it at any kind of scale, started after 2011 for all practical purposes. And what's happening because of that is somewhat driven by technology. We lend money in houses on West Texas. We never look at the house. We don't know anything about it, right? We actually have a third-party appraisal done, but the technology that's available today allows you to make good decisions, be able to underwrite a property and make a loan on properties that are not necessarily in their own neighborhood. So we are definitely, and because we're able to scale from a base of a universe of national, in our case 44 states, we're able to get efficiencies from, you got 50 people doing a whole lot of loans that just a little small operator can't do. And so we're now making loans at 8, 9%, 2 points. So, basically money's costing less. And companies like ours, I can't take all the credit, the companies like ours have put a lot of pressure on the availability, not pressure, they put a lot of pressure to create available capital. So people who used to not want to give up 20%, are now looking at it and saying 10%, that's much more affordable. And if we were talking when we were talking something, you could do one flip with cash, right? Which a lot of people, and I'm certainly a huge advocate of that, especially your first deal. If you can do it with cash, a friend and family members, absolutely do not borrow money if you do not have to. But if you get to the point where you've got the competency and you know and get the availability to get 3 or 4 projects, and you can leverage the same passion that takes you to do 1 project to do 3 or 4. You know, I talked to one investor who's a customer of ours that lives in Colorado, and he basically, you know, put it to me this way: he's making about $40,000 profit on a single flip, but when he leverages that same money to do 3 flips, he makes $30,000 on 3 flips. So comparing 40,000 to the 90,000, if you did the math right, you know, explains why this has happened. So again, you don't need to borrow money to get up, especially in the first flip. No, it's also easier to borrow money after you've got some experience under your belt. We typically don't offer our best rates until you've done 3 flips. And again, one more look at this. Not only is the share of financing going up, the leverage. And I think Scott also alluded to this. Tim alluded to this, and I corrected him. They have very big. He said, "Well, we would lender like that, land would go to 90%. We'll actually go to 85, only for experienced investors. It's more typical to get like 75%. In other words, you're going to have to do 25% down payment to pay towards the loan. But we are certainly not alone in that. The reason this has gone from the, you know, typically a 20% down to now more typically 15% down is there's just lenders out there that have, this is kind of one of those things that causes the market correction, the finance market. People get too loose with the money, it becomes concerning. So, and that's a big part of why we don't offer loan lending. We want our borrowers to have enough skin in the game where they won't walk on the deal. We don't want to own their property. We don't want to foreclose on it. So it's just it's a maneuver that we use in order to have enough skin in the game where when they pull down a wall and find mold or when they sewage line is a problem, or something that's well beyond the scope of what they thought they were getting into, they're not motivated to walk away. This is, I think, my last slide on the flipping. May have one more, but this is, I always think this is interesting too. This last year, actually 17, I think 18 will probably show us even higher yet again. This is the gross profit. This is not necessarily what the investor puts in their pocket, but this is, after all is said and done, nationally, on all 240,000 flips that are going on, typically investors are making $68,000. This market's probably not that far off of that number, right? We're probably more closer to the median house price of $250,000. But as I was talking earlier, there's investors, I've seen guys make $1.5 million on a flip out of something out for them. You know, bought for $2 million, put $1 million into it, sold it for $4.5 million. Crazy. It happens. So that tends to, obviously there's tons of deals that are going on at the $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, you know, where that's all, if you're making that kind of money, and then there's certainly the deals that don't make any money at all, that go into that number. Yeah, I lied. I think this is the last one. And again, this is pretty much the same number, same information, just on a longer period of time, looking at it quarterly. And, you know, again, what I think is fun and great to see is just a lot of steady increase here. Your ROIs look like they're coming down a little bit, and they have been. This is a reflection on possibly borrowing more money, using financing, that cost, that comes out of the return, and also the increased construction, increased labor. So both of those are a big factor in today's market. So it's harder. I mean, this little downturn is an indication that it's harder to make the same kind of profit. This is the last one. All this does is show like the percentage of non-owner occupied purchases. I think this is, again, you look at this relative to the entire all time at 24%, but 20 years ago to now, nearly a third of purchases are going. That's the housing stock back in the very first place. The amount of housing stock that's being used as rental property. Good. It's a good business to be in. It's a good time to be in it. And I personally, when we talk about millennials, and that's one of the the most important trend is millennials don't want to own anything. They don't want to own a car. That's why Uber and Lyft are doing so well. I think they want to have mobility. They don't want to get, I got two millennials myself, and like they don't want to be locked into a house for a 30-year mortgage. I mean, that was like when I got out of college in the 80s. That was like what everybody wants. Couldn't wait to get into a house. Now it's like no interest in it. And so that kind of thing. And then you've got the baby boomers who have a 4-bedroom suburban house, and they have no need for that space anymore. And if they can sell that house, and with the time they got left, they can travel, they can go spend 6 months a year with the grandkids somewhere, they become ideal renters, and that's, I think, a trend that we're going to continue to see for a long time. So I love the rental market. Speaking of, we have a couple slides on the rental market, and I'm we're done. We can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about and move on. Similar to the fix and flip market, this is that inverted triangle. I think this is kind of, a lot of people do not realize that this is the number of investors. First of all, the top third of the inventory, 15, 20 million homes in America, are being used as rental property, right? There are a few firms like Invitation Homes here in Dallas that has about 80,000 homes that they're the largest landlord of single-family homes in the country. There's a few firms that have in the 40s and 50s, and there's a couple more that have in the 20s and 30,000 homes. But the vast majority of rental homes in America are owned by a single investor. Okay? And the funny thing about these people is they don't even know that they're an investor. They don't even think of themselves as an investor. They also don't think of themselves as a landlord, because somehow Aunt Edna died, or grandma, or mom and dad, somebody died and left in the house. And often, the kids are in different parts of the country, and they didn't know what to do with the house, and nobody's really taking care of the house in 20 years, so it needs work in order to sell it. And before you know it, somebody knocks on the door or sends them an email or something, and they have a tenant that's interested in renting. And then all of a sudden, they stick somebody in, and they rent it for a year or two, do some improvements. The kids get together at the end of the year to get their taxes in order, and they kind of scratch their head and say, wow, we're really cash flowing pretty nice on that. And then all of a sudden, the property down the street goes to markets for sale, or they realize what they're almost like accidental investors. They realize what they're doing, and they start to turn into this group, the smart ones, right? A lot of people here just end up getting out of it. They realize it's a huge pain in the ass. I don't want to be a landlord. I don't want to have to go fix the toilet. But now you get into this group, and you start realizing, hey, I can hire a property manager. I can make the economics work with nothing but passive income. And then you have a much smaller group. So 2% of the market is represented of people that, are really making, this is a nice way, that's a nice way to supplement your retirement. If you can be in that category, that's a really sweet place to be. I think that's a great goal. And then now you start getting into, as I mentioned earlier, these big companies. I mean, there's very, very few people. Hey, I don't know how many dealers that is. 90% of the market that have a whole lot of them. This is a business that's made up of, the dark green at the top. But it's pretty interesting. I think it's kind of a return to the future kind of thing. If you go back, to 1965, just a couple of years after I was where 37% of the houses were rental properties in America. This whole period of this great American dream, I want to buy homes. This is the build-up to the great crash, right? And then, boom, renters. And it's over. I don't know how high that's going to be. I definitely don't think that where we were in 65 is as good as it's going to ever be. That's my opinion. And where is this? This is another interesting part. And what I think is curious about this, everybody presumes that the rental properties are growing like crazy in markets like Southern California, where you want to buy a house unless you are loaded. You can't buy a house. Northern California, San Francisco, Brooklyn, New York, South Beach, those areas, it's just the real estate. It's Seattle, just so astronomically high prices. to live there, if you're working there, and particularly like Silicon Valley and San Francisco, tons of millennials, tons of young people making six-figure salaries that they had no hope of buying a home. Even if they wanted to, most of them don't. They just can't. So, but this trend of who's renting homes, top market in the country. Oklahoma City. I wish I could explain. I don't know. Somebody once told me that they thought it might have to do. I think that there's some army base. I won't quote sales. It's not Oklahoma City, but I think there's a lot of government or a lot of armed forces kind of stuff. And so that's a group of people that maybe don't have, aren't going to be there long enough. So there's a built-in demand for rental property. I don't know the market well enough to know whether that's true or not. But regardless, if you look at this list of places, it's not just the high, really super high expensive real estate on the coast. This is a trend where it's going on all over, and it's certainly going on here in North Texas. And I think that's it. I'm done. I hope some of you found that informative. I don't know if anybody's still with us on the Facebook page. Does anybody, I can't promise you I can answer a question if you want to offer one. But anything anybody wants to talk about? Yes, sir.
And just a quick clarification on that last slide. Are you saying that Oklahoma City 30 old houses or?
Mind-boggling. Yeah. And this is Adam Davis. I just put out that up front. All of the data is publicly available online. I aggregated and put my presentation together. There's several different reasons, and this is, to speak to a group like this is one of them. But you guys, you can look this data up. This is, and a caveat on, I should probably mention this up on a caveat on the flipping numbers that you saw. It's all very public data on what's happening. People, there's a deed, the county tax records, record everything. These data companies go in. There's lots of different data companies, and all of them really make some difference. The data itself is all in one place, county tax records. But who scrapes it and puts it in the blender and does various things with it to make it usable for people in the financial markets and people in this market? There's different companies are doing different things with it. What Adam does, and they consider a flip, is just this real basic definition of a house was purchased and a house was sold inside of a 12-month period at an arm's length transaction. So in other words, you can remember the yellow. So it includes, these numbers include the situation where a young couple or an old couple gets married, buys a house, lives together for 2 months, and decides this isn't going to work, they get divorced and sell the house, right? That definitely is in the number. There's not enough of that to make a difference to the number. And so these are as close as I can get to what I consider real flipping information. Something raised their hand up here.
What did you say the name of the company was?
Adam Data Solutions. Data. D-A-T-A. Yeah. In fact, I think they just sold. I know they just sold. And I think it was a downstate company bought them. I can't remember the name of the company. But they didn't buy it and put it out of business. I think they're getting more access to more data and more resources. So really, they got some analysts. You see a lot of stuff. You'll probably now start noticing if you read an article about this industry in Wall Street or New York Times or any of the major media. They tend to go to Darren Bloomquist is our senior analyst. I see him quoted all the time. He calls me from time to time to get a perspective on lending. That's kind of interesting. But again, not a huge industry. 240,000 houses maybe that we flip a year. I think that's probably the most interesting to have all. Probably 5% of that are thereabouts in North Texas, and it's probably not sure that you can develop it in that. Yep.
A little bit of backtrack, but we're seeing a lot of large investments are being bought out by foreign, whereby if things continue, most of them are not going to be able to support
I'm going to repeat the question just to make sure everybody heard it, make sure I heard it correctly. The foreign investment in U.S. real estate is driving prices up. And do I think there's anything that's going to prevent that from happening? Is right? Yeah. So, I think the current administration, and I'm not deep into politics, so I don't know what the federal housing authority is. But I think Trump is very good for business and very good for the lending business. I think in general, we welcome foreign money to the country. I do agree, and I know for a fact, and I mentioned in the earlier session, we have a crowdfunding site, so we make a loan to people like y'all. We make that loan available on the website. A lot of people buy it. One of the buyers of what we do are the family offices and funds. Some of them are completely foreign money. So I know for a fact one of the funds that buys a lot on our platform, only Korean money. There's some Chinese money, there's Israeli money, right? And I'll speak to the Korean money for a second. There are Korean investors that put their money into funds like this. They do not care where they dump it. They don't even care that much about the return. They want to get it out of Korea and into something stable in the U.S., park that money there, if the government can't take it away from them. And all likelihood, the way the Koreans think, which is very much like the way Americans think, if I park this money in the U.S. real estate, it's going to go up. So I just put that. So I mean and so that is what's driving a lot of foreign investment, foreign money in the U.S. housing market in particular. And I don't see it stopping that. But I do think it's a problem. I think you go to South Beach, you go to I think you go to downtown Dallas, high-rise luxury apartments and condos that are empty. I mean, who owns that stuff? Why are they worth $1 million? What's happening? There's tons of it. They're still planning building more of it, right? Mind-boggling. But because that foreign money is there, I'm not saying that it's exclusively what's popping that up, but it's definitely a very big part. Yes, sir.
Yeah, quick question. Going to get into more stats out there. Just your opinion on how does a hedge fund value a portfolio? And secondly, you see green investors who want to buy 50 or 100. Absolutely. And how do I get in connection with them? You want to go over a deal?
Ken can help me with this a lot. We both dealt with it quite a bit.
Could you repeat the question?
So we're talking about do foreign investors want to buy rental properties in America, right? And single-family residential property. And I think the second part is how do I get in touch with those kids? How do I get that money? Right. So, voice from the sky. Are you going to help me with this, or you want me to just try it?
I'm just a guy in the booth, man. You're actually kind of hard to hear because now you're standing in front of the microphone again.
I apologize for people. So, did you follow the question? Do you want me to try to take a shot at it? Because again, with the funds that do this, there are people that run funds in the U.S. They're specifically buying houses. They hire a real estate firm. They have a target objective. They have a buy box, and they send people out to just buy as many properties as they can that fit that buy box, and they've got certain returns that they're trying to hit. They've got plenty of available money. How many? This is like
we couldn't really understand what you were saying because this is the audio source, and you've done your best to get as far away from it and speaking in the opposite.
I thought this was the audio.
It is if you're actually speaking to it. then it comes down to the speakers and then the audience online. 100 people can hear you.
Well, I apologize to 100 people online. This is my
So now you have a handle. So go ahead.
But in terms of how you find them, I don't have good answers for them. They're very fun. What was your specific objective to sell that inventory?
Who are you trying to find? The foreign investors?
The funds that are running using foreign money to buy property.
So the first part of the question is, how does a hedge fund value a portfolio of single-family residential property? The second part of it is, if the hedge fund's not going to give me a top dollar, I'd sure like to talk to a foreign investor who just wants to park money. Maybe some of your investors would be interested.
Yeah. So finding the people that are sourcing and understanding their criteria. I'll tell you a big piece of the hedge fund's beginning criteria is replacement cost. Right. And knowing what I know about your portfolio, buddy, I can tell you, I'm not just calling him buddy like derogatory. His name's Buddy. I'm not like, hey, buddy, when you look at replacement costs, so if you just take $80 to $90 a foot plus land costs, and you own some houses that are at $100 a foot all in, I can almost promise you that's an asset that there's a fund out there that'll buy. If you've got assets that go for $80 a foot and will rent for anywhere from 80 cents to $1 a foot, then that gets closer. Now, if you got something that the market value is $1.20 a foot, and it's all about replacement cost, right? Because at the end of the day, they're in this for the long haul. Everybody thought the hedge funds were coming in 5 years ago, going to make a quick trade and leave. Wrong, right? Right now they've all consolidated, and now they're all publicly traded companies, and now they all own 40 to 90,000 houses each. So I was wrong. I was wrong like crazy. I thought they were stupid because they're going into Phoenix paying 100 cents on the dollar, but 100 cents on the dollar in 2009 is 70 cents on the dollar today. And they were looking at the founder of Invitation Homes told me, and I can't, say his name, but the way that whole idea came up is he ended up checking on his apartment company in California, and he had a flat tire and ended up in this neighborhood with boarded up, beautiful houses. And when he found out that you could buy them for less than you could build them, he said, well, that makes sense. And that's how he got started. And then he called John Gray at Blackstone. They met at an airport, shook hands. $1 billion later, they went and bought a bunch of houses. And they said, well, heck, let's keep doing it. That's an important handshake, isn't it? So I don't want to detract. We're going to talk more later, but how do you find the funds? Tax roll searches. You can pay a fairly small amount to someone on Upwork to take the Dallas County tax roll database and tell you how many people own 100 houses or more, then that's a good way to start. You can go on Facebook. I hate to talk about Facebook, but you can, and you can hear there's a real estate agent repping every one of the funds. Look for a buyer's agent that has over 30 look on MLS for a buyer's agent that has over 30 transactions in a month. Odds are that's an individual that's representing an institutional investor. So like there's what's his name, Josh and Scott, or John and Scott, John Larson and Scott, Arnold. Obviously, I think they do 40 transactions a month. It's all buyer's agent stuff, and they have 3 funds they represent. So you can start in MLS, you can start in public records, you can get involved in some of these social media threads that are specific to the area that you have inventory or would like inventory, and those are some ways that you can find them. But back to your topic so that we can wrap up. Are you done?
We're done.
Oh, okay. So that concludes Robert's talk. We're going to give him an applause, and we're going to take a quick 10-minute break.